Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Behind the Cape. I'm Data Superhero Keith Belanger, and I'm extremely excited to have once again as a guest Ruchi. Ruchi, thanks for joining us again.
Thanks, Keith. Thanks. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's excited to hear you. And you always have a great topic for us. So, what do you have for us today?
So today I wanted to, take you to the world of agentic AI in Snowflake because agentic is the buzzword. So I think it was high time for us data superheroes to bring everything live together. So it's all about agents and Snowflake today.
Excellent. AI is the hype, so I'm excited
Yeah.
to hear what you have. Great.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yes.
All right. So, I'm going to show your slides.
Yes, please.
All
Let's do
right.
that.
All right. Your slides are shown. Let's go.
Perfect. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us again today. And today would be a very interesting topic. As Keith mentioned, we are getting into details of agents in action, Snowflake agents in action. So now let's just take a step back and let's understand how did we move from a traditional data platform to a modern data platform, then to modern data platform with GenAI, and then to modern data platform with GenAI and agents, and then we'll get into how Snowflake supports this journey. So it's all about from data to decisions, the agentic AI advantage. Now let's take a step back. Let's talk about traditional data platforms. I'm talking about 2000, those years where we had mainframes, we had COBOL, and to an extent, we are talking about oracles of the system. Now, those traditional data platforms, the thought process that was there in people when they build it is more about technical capabilities, but then there was no emphasis on business processes and making sure that you have the right user experience. So, what were the problems? Problems were, the performance was very less, the total cost of ownership was extremely high, end of life support challenges. We have all been through the journey where, how do you maintain a mainframe system when, the days are passing, when it's about to turn out, right? So end of life support challenges is a very important thing. Then there was always a problem of resource scaling. Scale out, scale in was never a word that anyone used at that time. And this all led to lack of reliability, ownership, and definitely because the systems were not built with assuming business in mind. It was all about technical capabilities. So all the new terms that we have in Snowflake, like Snowflake Intelligence, which helped users uh, create reports on their own, in your natural language, asking questions. Nothing was there in all those traditional data platforms. So we all understood that we need to move from traditional data platforms to modern data platforms. But then came the word of GenAI. Now, why GenAI? And that is where we started talking about some numbers like uh, 75% of the organizations, they were actually difficult. They were unable to realize the full potential of data because it was all manual stuff that they were doing. And then organizations understood that if they will, move towards GenAI, then they can reduce TCO by 30%, they can grow revenues by 15%. And these are all the numbers that were published in the Harvard Business Study. And now, we understood that traditional to modern, and then you talk about GenAI. And GenAI, it's another important thing about GenAI is data. Because the quality of data, it directly determines how big an impact it can have on your business. Because it's all about programs. We are talking about the LLMs of the world that are getting the right data. So the data is extremely important, and that's what people say that there is no AI journey without a strong data journey, right? So, and this is I'm talking about some pointers with respect to data, because clean, complete, and well structured data, it drives better AI outcomes, and these are all tried and tested formulas. Proprietary data, it creates unique market advantages. Synthetic data is extremely important because I'm talking about training my LLMs to the data which is like production, but it's not all the important things that should not be visible to users. They are actually screened out. Proprietary data is important. We're talking about GenAI, which delivers more accurate, relevant, and timely recommendations. And then GenAI applied to data, it jump starts the data. So what I'm talking about is that we moved from traditional to modern data platforms, and then modern data with GenAI. But then the data layer, having a strong data layer, is again the most important factor to make sure that you get the benefits of GenAI properly. And that is where Snowflake plays the game, right? It makes sure that your all the LLMs, they are actually, they can connect with the data which is there in Snowflake with a very, very strong governance layer. So it kind of puts everything in a package together. Now, from there, we came to agentic AI. What is agentic AI? It's important for us to understand what is agentic AI, because then only you will understand what Snowflake provides in terms of agentic AI. Now, agent, it's all about decision making. We are talking about decision making capabilities in the system. So it's not plain, programs where you are asking something. It's about programs or LLMs which are able to make strong decisions. So the decision making capability is the term that differentiate agentic AI from generative AI. And this is, in terms of couple of examples, you can assume that AI agents are kind of programs that can perform tasks independently, and they can create the right decisions in between. So the decision loop is there. For example, they can set and pursue objectives like your hiring manager. They can adapt on the fly like an analyst. They can weigh uncertainty like a data scientist. They can deliver outcomes. So it's all about a program which is thinking, and it's giving you output as per that. But then another important thing, because we spoke about GenAI and Agentic AI, I thought it's important to show a one-to-one mapping between some of the aspects of, how GenAI and AI agents differ. I'll just pick one or two, but this is one of my favorite slides because this helps me explain it to a very, very, a person who has basic knowledge of AI, Gen AI, to understand what is the difference between Gen AI and agents. Think from the perspective of primary function, point number two. Because in Gen AI, the primary function is all the, it generates output based on prompts. But in AI agents, we are talking about something which can sense, decide, act, and learn, right? Similarly, in terms of dependency, we are talking about Gen AI, which is about it needs human input for every task. So we are not talking about anything which can decide, right? You need to give human input. But then AI agents can operate with minimal or no human intervention. So, and let's take one example, like, Chat GPT writing an article. That's your Gen AI. But when you're talking about AI agent, consider an AI assistant which is booking meetings for you, which is managing workflows for you, which is handling customer tickets for you with very, very minimal interaction that it needs from you. So that is where we have traversed, Keith. We have moved from a world of traditional to modern to Gen AI and then to Gen AI with
Yeah,
agents.
I have a
Yeah,
question. Well, actually, not a
yeah.
question, but more of a statement. When you talked about the traditional platforms in the past, it
Hmm.
was about the
Yeah.
technology and not really the business.
Yes.
Um, Now, as we're going to the agentic and those agent AIs, understanding your business has got to be so important and critical, or else your agents are going to be operating the wrong business, right? You really have to understand
Exactly.
your business.
Exactly. You're right. And that's what, that's one of the plays that Snowflake has, because when you're talking about understanding the business, how do you understand it? It's all about training the model. And how do you train the model better? It's all about the data, right? You have all the business, all the decisions that comes there. Human trains the model, and that is why having the right data and making sure that your models can come and they can interact with the data without your data leaving the system, that makes business extremely happy, confident, and that's why they are moving more and more to agentic AI along with agentic AI on Snowflake, because everything is extremely secure. So that's the power of Snowflake that we are talking about, Keith. Yeah. So,
Like,
yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just agreeing with you. I said, yes, absolutely.
Perfect. So, this slide is more, I just wanted to give you some examples, some statements. And again, these are the statements that are there in different, we have brought in from Harvard and all the public portals, because we're talking about some numbers like by 2028, Agentic AI will make 15% of daily work decisions. The one thing that we all need to understand is that people a lot of time, they conflict it with the fact that there will be a lot of robots, and the human labor or that will decrease. I think it's all about taking you to the next level, making sure that you understand the next intricacies of business, intricacies of the way technology is moving, and that is why we are saying that the word of agentic AI is the next thing that is coming. And so all of us should ensure that we understand that, and we should start applying it in our day to day work. For example, I use agents a lot to to restructure some of my articles or some of my emails, right? It's very very easy. You give it some thoughts, and then it gives you, it can restructure things very very well. So I think that is what agents are the next thing, and we should all move towards it. And these numbers, they give it, they actually prove this. Now, how do AI agents work? We understood that AI agents have decision making capabilities, but then we also need to understand the core components of AI agents. So it starts with sensing, where your AI agent will define the task or problem. Then it comes reasoning, where agents can process and interpret data. After that, it's all about planning, where your agent is developing plans of action. Then coordination is important, where they share the plans with the users so that there is collaborative decision making which is there in the system. Acting is important because we have created the plans, so you have to make sure that the plans are implemented and executed. And the last point, which is the most important point that I love about agents, is we're talking about learning and adaptation, which means there is a continuous learning process in the loop. So continuous learning loop is there, so that your agent understands, and then it makes sure that next time when you ask the same problem, it gives a more accurate answer. So these are all the core components of agents. Now, taking you to data agents, because that is the play that Snowflake has, and I'm going to talk about a lot of data agents that Snowflake has given in the second half of this presentation. So, in simple words, data agents, they actually combine data along with the tools to make sure you get the right insights. So, if you see here, you have a data agent, there is a request, there is an output, but then if you see above and down, we are talking about all the tools which are generation tools, other AI agents, and then we are talking about data, structured and unstructured data. And that is what takes us to the next topic, which is about data agents and Snowflake. Now, this is one of my very, very favorite slide. I always talk about it. It is a very nice Snowflake overlay. See, our traditional data supply chain layer. It's we call it as capture, curate, and consume. Okay. Now, there are for different systems, there are different way you capture, you curate, and you consume. When GenAI came in, then you understood that there's a lot of things in the existing layer that you need to, that you need to continue with. Some of the services will be updated for GenAI. Some of the services will be added for GenAI. Now, what we did, and this is something that we have worked with Snowflake, that we try to create a Snowflake overlay of, the services that they have on the traditional data supply chain layer. For example, if you talk about capture, then Snowflake has different things like batch copy, Snowflake connectors, etc. In terms of curation, you have raw data, you have cleansing, you have Snowpark data frames, you have things like unstructured data product. Then if you go down, you have an entire data governance and management layer, and that is where it comes, Horizon, etc. comes in, which is one of the most important framework that Snowflake gives. If you go further down, you're talking about security and observability. If you see towards the right, and that is where we are talking about, if you see a box in information access, there's something called Cortex AI, Cortex agents. That is the game that Snowflake has in terms of data agents that we are going to go deeper. But this is a very, very good way in which you can explain the Snowflake services and services which are related to agents, agentic world, to a business users. It's very easy for a user to understand if you do it in a traditional way from capture, curate, and consume, and if you plug Snowflake services on top of it. Now let's go one step further into Snowflake and GenAI. I think this slide is a common slide. We have spoken about it in couple of sessions. I remember in my last session I spoke about it. But just a second for us to understand again, we are talking about a play of GenAI and LLM for Snowflake, and the thought is very simple that you need to use AI in seconds, apps in minutes, and fully customs in hours. And for that, Snowflake has different areas like use AI in seconds, you have document AI, apps in minutes, you have things like Streamlit. I have created a lot of cool applications using Streamlit, and I've heard a lot of customers are actually interested. They want to go Snowflake native. So they want to move from Tableau of the world. If you are reading data from Snowflake, why don't you have some app, something within Snowflake through which you can build apps? And that is where Streamlit comes in. And then you can go fully custom in ours where we are talking about Snowpark Container Services. The middle box is all about Cortex. We are going to go deeper into that. And then the lower part is what Snowflake is extremely famous about, governance. And that's the kind of governance options that we have in Snowflake. Keith, you also know those are extremely extremely great, extraordinary is what I would say. um, and that gives business confidence that their data is safe, and that is extremely important even in the world of agents, right? Everybody wants their data to be safe.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the number one thing, right? Is
Exactly.
it's great to have all these capabilities, but is my data safe, right? Is our people information
Exactly.
protected? So, yep.
Yes. Okay, now data agents in Snowflake. The topic that I was talking about. Let's understand the data agent in Snowflake. Now we have been talking about Cortex. Right? Cortex has been there for some time now. Now from Cortex, let's shift to the agents world. Now, the way business sees it, or the way you should explain it to businesses, that Snowflake Unified Data and AI platform, it actually provides users with scalable processing and retrieval for both structured and unstructured data. So, what I'm saying is that my data layer, it has both structured and unstructured data, and that is very, very critical for building and developing the data agents. Right? If you remember in the data agent slide, we talk about input, output, and then there was structured and unstructured layer below. And then what Snowflake gives you is Cortex agents. So with the launch of Cortex agents and under hood of Cortex agent, we are talking about Cortex Analyst and Cortex Search. That is the Snowflake play for data agents. Now, honestly, Cortex agents, Analyst, Search, Snowflake started, thinking about it way earlier, is what I've seen, because I've heard about or read about Cortex Analyst, Cortex Search since quite some time. Even probably, the way I see it is Snowflake product management team, they started knowing that this is something that might be coming up soon, and they actually rolled it out pretty early in the game. Now it's all about stitching those pieces together. So Snowflake has data agents, and Snowflake data agents are there in the system, tried and tested by a lot of organizations, giving brilliant results. This is another slide which is very, very nice, and it's about AI applications framework. And this slide, think it like the data modernization slide that I spoke about, the data agent slide that I spoke about, bringing all of them together along with what Snowflake provides. So if you see on the left side, so there are actually five pillars here. So you start with governed data. Governed data can be structured and unstructured, and that is all which is sitting inside Snowflake. After that, we are talking about a processing engine. Now, processing engine for structured data, it will be SQL engine, right? We are talking about simple structured data. But unstructured data, which was very early play for Snowflake, the way it was able to manage semi-structured and unstructured data, that is all about document and image processing. Now, if you go to the center, that's your retrieval engine. And that is where I'm talking about two data agents that Snowflake gives, Cortex Analyst and Cortex Search. Cortex Analyst, in simple words, is text to SQL, and Cortex Search, it involves hybrid search. We'll talk about this in the couple of next slides. But it's all about making sure that there is high accuracy, out of the box, customizable to your data. And on the right side, you see Cortex agents, where we are talking about orchestrations, tools it uses, reflection, etc. Observability is also a very important point, and actually, Snowflake view of agentic world is across five pillars, and I'm going to talk about those five pillars. And on the right side, there are applications, Streamlit, etc. And if you see down, it's all the latest and the greatest models that are actually fetching your data within Snowflake, and they are actually doing Gen AI, doing agentic stuff on top of it. So I think for our audience, it is very important to remember this slide whenever they talk about agents, Snowflake, the world of models. This is the first thing that should come into everybody's mind.
Yeah, and what I like about this, again, back to the security of your information, is that you don't have to leave Snowflake to interact with any of these, whether it's OpenAI or Meta. People may
Yes.
think that it's outside the Snowflake world. My data is going to go out there, but you can leverage these again without ever leaving the walls of Snowflake.
Exactly, exactly. You're right, Keith, and that is what I'm saying, and that's what I've been telling to all the business. clients that reach out to me, that is the beauty. Your data is safe, it's not moving anywhere, everything is within Snowflake, your models are coming, and then Snowflake is day by day it's increasing the different type of models that can come and connect to Snowflake. In fact, sometimes I am surprised whether their product engineering team ever sleeps, because day and night they're actually integrating something or the other, Keith, right?
I can't.
So
You know, it's hard to keep up these days. I mean, when I first started in the
exactly,
Snowflake journey, it was like, there would be some releases every month, but now it's like I can't. It's hard to put your arms wrapped around everything and be an expert in anything. So that's why I enjoy
exactly.
these things, because I'm learning from you, because there's so much going on.
Same, Keith. Same. From my end, I think we all talk, we all create things, and in that process, we all learn. So while I create something for my audience, I learn in that process. So I think it is both ways.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, now I'll just take it one level deep. If you remember, I spoke about the pillars of Snowflake Agentic AI. There are 5 pillars of Snowflake Agentic AI, and that's what uh, agents were there. Snowflake product team thought about agents much, before, and that's where Cortex Analyst, Cortex Search came in. But it was all about stitching the story together. And now we are talking about how do you talk to your clients about what Snowflake provides in terms of agentic, in agentic world. And these are the 5 pillars that I'm talking about. Now let's take step by step, one by one, and then we'll go one level deeper into each pillar. The first and most important pillar is your agentic orchestration. So, when you say orchestration, as the name suggests, it's all about coordinating, reasoning, planning, query decomposition, and tools. So, it's about an orchestration agent so that you can make sure that the task can be run end to end. So, first pillar is orchestration. Then you talk about structured data intelligence. Structured data intelligence means that you use natural language, and I can ask anything in natural language, and that will be converted into a SQL query. So it translates natural language into precision executable queries over complex schemas and metrics. Now, after structured, we talk about unstructured data intelligence. Unstructured data intelligence means that I'm taking unstructured data and I'm asking questions and I'm getting answers from that unstructured data. Observability is another important pillar, because it is important that you need to have the right support to ensure that agents make the right decisions, right? So you have to make sure that you have, your observability comes into picture, because that helps you for continuous improvement. And then the last and important is inference systems and optimizations. And that's what I was saying, that the product team, it's always on the watch out. You have your agents into the client system, but it's always making sure that the right optimizations is there in place, right? So that's always there. So the loop always stays. So we start with orchestration, then there is structured data intelligence, unstructured data intelligence, observability, and then optimization. So that's the way Snowflake talks about the 5 pillars in Snowflake data agents. Now let's understand each pillar one by one. So as I said, orchestration is about, making sure that your end-to-end things are connected, and that is where Cortex agents comes in. So Cortex agents ensure that we have the right planning, adapting, and composing of the tools in real time. Now, Cortex agents are built on an agentic orchestration system, and they are now available in public preview. And we are talking about bringing structured and unstructured data sources together and doing some magic on top of it. How does it do? How does it do those magic? When you're talking about structured data, the agent is Cortex Analyst. Unstructured data, agent is Cortex Search. So if you go to the next point, which is structured data intelligence, now we will know what is Cortex Analyst. As I mentioned, very simple, that business wants to, they want to ask any question and they want to get a query as well as a result, which means that they don't have to even write a SQL query, right? So that's where Cortex Analyst comes into picture. So Cortex agents, they actually use Cortex Analyst to translate natural language into executable SQL. Now, important thing is because a lot of people say that that's fine. A lot of systems can do that, but here we are talking about semantic model. So Analyst actually uses semantic model to map business terms to underlying data. This is extremely important because of this semantic model. It's using semantic model. It is able to improve precision in real world use cases. So see, converting from natural language to queries is possible, but the important thing is precision. And that is where this Cortex agent wins because it uses semantic model to do the required mapping. Now, another point is because it ties to the last point where we are talking about optimizations. For example, here I've given one example where we are continuously changing Cortex Analyst, continuously optimizing Cortex Analyst. For example, new recently we have a new advanced join validation, and what it does, it mitigates common issues like hallucinations, double counting. And hallucination is a very very big problem that we see, and with joins it is even bigger. So our product team, they went inside and they then they kind of tuned your Cortex Analyst, and because of this your Cortex Analyst can now support multi-table queries, right? So that's the beauty. We should not even we should not consider it as a simple something which is converting let's say natural language to SQL, but it's a lot more. It's about using semantic model to do the right mapping. It's about removing join hallucinations and many more. There are many more examples where Cortex Analyst wins. Similarly, for unstructured data intelligence, we talk about Cortex Search. So Cortex Analyst, it uses Cortex Search to do intelligence, which means to do analysis over unstructured data. Now, how it does? It talks about hybrid search. Hybrid search, which is a combination of vector and lexical, which is keyword search with an addition of semantic re-ranking step. Now, why I'm talking about, some more details about Cortex Search, because if you see on the right side, because of what Cortex Search is using and how it is doing search on unstructured data, Snowflake actually compared it with some models like using OpenAI, like using cloud hosted simple search service, Azure AI search. So if you see on the right side, the above one is Snowflake Cortex S, which is using Arctic 2.0, and it's much better, right? So the results are much better. So what I'm saying is that a lot of tools can do that, but it's all about precision and accuracy. And Snowflake has actually given the data points, the results that explains that it is very, very accurate. So that is where Cortex Search comes in, unstructured data intelligence. Now, I mentioned observability. Observability is very, very important because through this you build confidence in agentic AI. See, observability, it brings reliability, performance, and trust to generative AI applications. Observability is something that we have been learning since quite some time, Keith, right? Observability word is not new, but making sure that observability is done for Gen AI is something which is new. And that is because if everybody is moving to Gen AI agents, so then we have to make sure that there are right guardrails in the system to ensure that there is right observability. And that is what observability was built into Snowflake Intelligence from day one. And through this, users can debug and govern AI driven processes. Built on open telemetry, Snowflake Intelligence provides a unified view of performance, cost, and latency. So when you get all these views, which means that you can get the right observability into the system, you can take the right decisions, you can bring the right optimizations, and you know very, very quickly what to change, what to show to the business, etc. And recently, we all know that Snowflake acquired Datavolo, and that further enhances its platform's ability to handle multi-model data integration. And that is where we are talking about, governance and processing. So that's the next pillar that Snowflake has, which is the fourth pillar, which is all about observability. And then the last pillar is optimization. As I said, see, even after going to agentic AI stuff, we cannot forget that optimization is important, right? You should continuously have the feedback loop into the system and you should optimize your systems. And that is where, Snowflake says that there's a lot of system level optimizations and techniques that it does. It pushes into the system to make sure that things are more smarter, more secure, and processing wise, it is most faster.
Yeah, what I find interesting is the the techniques and the things that we've been doing for years, like you said, in the data space, how it's important to bring that into the AI space. Like you said, the optimization, the observability, it's important. But what's also very interesting is that the rate and frequency on the AI space, it's no longer once a week or once a month. Like this has to be, especially in the AI, it's changing so fast, like almost like a daily, hourly type of exercise to keep it trained and up to date and tuned, and or it's going to go astray really fast.
Agreed, Keith. And that's why making sure that we have the right observability in systems where we are talking about AI, Gen AI, or Agentic AI is really difficult but very important. And that's the reason that Snowflake made sure that it's the fifth pillar, because when things are changing very fast, you need to make the right decisions, which means that you need to have the right observability into the system to make sure that the right guardrails are in place. So that's what I've these guys are thinking, and that's what I'm surprised. How does their brain work? Our Snowflake product team, they are like, thinking on every size and every length, breadth, and every parameter.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So now, what we understood is we started from traditional data platforms, why we moved from traditional to modern data platforms, then why Gen AI, then why agents. What is the difference between AI agents and Gen AI? Then we also spoke about, what, and the most important thing of this section was all about Snowflake and data agents. The five pillars in which, Snowflake defines its agentic world or agentic story. Now, it's important to understand what are the various use cases, right? So, why should I go for agents, and what are the benefits that agents provides in the system? So, I mentioned a couple of use cases here, and these are different clients that we have worked with, and from there, these use cases are coming in. Like we are talking about customer service AI agents, and a lot of us are now using them. I've seen many clients are using customer service AI agents, and they actually handle customer inquiries and they provide faster, more personalized resolutions. So you have an agent in place. You are not dependent upon a person and then thinking. Everything is built in, and the decision making is also there. Similarly, if you talk about sales and marketing, then you can shorten the sales cycle by providing real-time guidance to sales team, because, as I said, the decision making is there. So you can get the guidance from these agents. Finance department, it can help organizations cut costs. And how it does that? You can automate the repetitive tasks. But the last point, which I actually love, it's all about IT. And here we are talking about, reducing manual workload, because now you can have an agent to debug code, to monitor systems, to resolve tickets, to generate reports. And that's why, coming back to my previous point, a lot of people are worried that Gen AI agents, if we are reducing manual workload, what will happen? And that's what I always tell everybody I connect to. The world of learning is very, very huge, right? So you need to move on to what's coming next, and that's where, if it's Gen AI, if it's agent, just hop on to that. Probably this, what we are presenting today, it will help our readers to have a good, first step towards that. They will understand the word of agents, how things come into play. But then I think it's all about going one level deeper.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I've learned over, I mean, I've almost been in the data business for almost 30 years, and there was always something new that people were nervous or afraid of. But what time there was ever something new, there were new roles, new things that
Yes,
needed to be learned. So, yeah, maybe you're not sitting there doing manual code anymore, but you just went through so much stuff in just this presentation that is net new to the industry. Well, you need people to build that, manage that, do that. So I think it's like every time you seem like you're losing some capability, you're gaining two or three more, right? um,
agreed.
Now I'm going to do a personal you know complaint. I don't think anybody should be able to debug code with AI, because I didn't have the ability to do that when I was starting my career. I had I had to go find it in books and spend weeks trying to find a missing comma. So, um, but
You're right. You're right.
it's
Yeah.
amazing. everything you're talking about here when I started my career was science fiction from my perspective, right? I never
Same here.
thought we'd be here.
Yeah, I think it's all about creating the right balance. Keith, everything is not right and everything is not wrong, but then it's all about the right balance. As you
Yeah,
said, for me also, I never thought that, I'll be talking about something called agents, and but now I'm deep into this technology and I'm actually loving it.
yeah. It's it's the new thing, and it is exciting. And I've
Exactly.
the amount of things I've been able to do um, to test and try things, being able to leverage like generative AI is like, well, let me try it, right?
Yes.
And you
Yes.
can fail much faster than, oh my God, I don't have a week to play around with this. I can do it in a few hours, right? So
Right.
it's very beneficial. So it's finding, and then I'm like you. I'm not in as deep as you, but I'm in, right? I'm really excited about, there's a long ways to go, I think, but we've already come a long ways as well. So
Agreed. Agreed. Yep. Okay, so this is the last slide of my section. And I just wanted our readers to, go back with this thought. And I know that there will be deep dive sessions planned for Snowflake Intelligence because Snowflake Intelligence is also an agent. We are talking about a unified agentic interface. But then what is Snowflake Intelligence? Why do you need Snowflake Intelligence? Answer is simple. It's all about making, things intelligently, right? So making things easy for business, because business users, they really want data very very fast. They want actionable answers, but the data is across dashboards, across documents, across chat systems. And Snowflake Intelligence, which will be in public preview very very soon, will bridge this gap, and that's why we call it as a unified agentic interface. That's what it will give our users, which means that our users can, or clients or business, they can ask complex questions and they can do it in their natural language. And through that, you can analyze both structured as well as unstructured data and take direct actions. And the actions can be like triggering workflows to updating records. So, Snowflake Intelligence is one of my favorite topic that I heard in Summit this year, and I'm doing a lot of POCs on it. And this topic actually deserves a separate session, and I'm sure that you'll take care of that, Keith. But yeah,
yes,
that's
we will
yeah,
definitely be doing more sessions, and who knows, maybe you'll be doing one of them. But there's so much new
definitely
stuff and another exciting thing. So
yes,
um, well,
and
here
that's
let
it.
Well, let me bring you back here. We're back here. So that was great. I really appreciate. We talk AI. We just use this term AI in a very broad, generic term like AI. But it's great that you brought us down a little bit lower to really understand and give people an understanding of what really is going on to whether you're doing the generative AI or the agentic AI, and the role it plays and what's going on behind the scenes. And I'm sure many people really love all the gory detail. And then other people are probably saying, "Oh my God, I'm glad I'm not that grain into it." But that
I
was
agree.
fantastic. I enjoyed what you we shared with us today.
Great, Keith, and it is always a pleasure. As I said, a pleasure to learn from our fellow data superhero, Keith. Thanks for bringing me here again, and
Yes,
I
I
can't wait for coming again later.
we'll find. I'm sure it could be on intelligence or something else, but we will definitely have you back on. Um,
Sure.
Everybody, Ruchi does have a Medium channel. She also is on LinkedIn. The links are down below in the comments. Thanks again for joining us, and everybody, thank you for watching our video today. And we will see you all next time. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Bye. Bye, Keith.